Let's talk about architecture. After all, architecture has a huge impact on our lives. We spend 95% of our lives in buildings. When one thinks about architecture, one has a tendency to focus on design. And from that standpoint, architecture is evolving in really interesting ways. But design is only half the equation, because when one looks at the definition of architecture, one finds it's the art or practice of designing and constructing buildings. So, what about construction? How is it evolving? Well, in order to see that, one has to look back at the Roman times and see what their building sites looked like. The Romans had scaffolding, they had formwork, they had cranes, they had concrete and mortars and building blocks that they used to build massive structures. Surely, by comparison, today's construction site looks completely different. But no, today's typical construction site looks almost the same. So one might ask, how is it possible that we haven't evolved dramatically in construction since the Romans? But what about the steel frame? What about skyscrapers? Well, okay, let's look at the Industrial Revolution back in the 1850s and compare what has happened in construction to what has happened to two other important industries, transportation and communication. In transportation, they were just developing the steam engine. And by contrast, today's supersonic jet planes, high-speed rail, rockets to the moon, to Mars, make the steam engine look rather archaic. And in communication, they had just developed the telegraph, another major innovation that today looks very old-fashioned when you compare it to our pocket computers, our cell phones. And in construction, in 1851, they built a building called the Crystal Palace, almost 1 million square feet, 10 stories tall. This building was entirely prefabricated, modularized, steel frame, glass curtain wall. All the elements we think of as modern construction were actually invented in 1851 in this building that was built in only 7 months. We could never build that fast today. So how is it possible that this critical industry, this industry that provides us with one of the 3 things we need to survive, shelter, which along with food and clothing are critical to our survival, this industry has essentially stood still since the Industrial Revolution. It seems architecture is out of balance. Everybody has been designing and nobody has been thinking about construction. But it is only with a knowledge of construction and knowledge of materials that we architects can arrive at better products. At Beanie Shoals, we are developing new building technologies, new systems designed to deliver better results. Greener buildings, safer buildings, buildings that are built faster and easier and are more affordable. Please see more at our website, beanieshoals.com.